Talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it. She's basically a disaster. Well, she called me a snake oil salesman. And, you know, coming from Rosie, that's pretty low because when you look at her and when you see the mind is weak. I don't see it. I don't get it. I never understood. How does she even get on television? I believe Barbara made a terrible mistake putting her on, and I think Barbara's probably paying a big price. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all a little chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most of us. But it's not the chubbiness. Rosie is a very unattractive person, both inside and out. Rosie's a person that's very lucky to have her girlfriend. And she better be careful or I'll send one of my friends over to pick up her girlfriend. Why would she stay with Rosie if she had another choice? She's trying to use ABC and The View to get even with me. But with me, we fight back. I'll probably sue Rosie because she doesn't tell the facts. As an example, I'm worth many billions of dollars. Now, she said I was bankrupt. I never went bankrupt. So probably I'll sue her because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pockets. I actually think they ought to look at her whole life and see where she's coming from because I think she's got some very deep-seated problems. Perhaps it should be Rosie that goes to rehab. Rosie is a loser.
We're back on. All right, so Donald Trump is in the news again because allowing. Well, because his show, The Apprentice, is starting again in January. Oh, yeah. He held a big press conference to see if he was going to allow Miss USA, such a prestigious title, to regain and retain. Miss America is the prestige. Miss USA is a different thing.
Representing America in a bathing suit.
Yes, it's basically a model competition. Let's be realistic, okay?
What about peace in the world? They always want peace in the world.
They have one question in Miss USA.
They always say,
I'd like to cure cancer and end world hunger. And then I'd like to go to Studio 54 and do some crack. You know, but apparently, this young girl, Tara Connor, how old is she? 21. She went out and she was partying. She's from Kentucky.
She's so cute.
She went to New York and she was hanging out at all the parties, doing what Paris and Lindsay do, you know, dancing, whatever. And so he held a press conference to announce whether or not she was going to retain her crown. Yeah. And then she started to cry.
She did.
So I just want to thank Donald for giving me a second chance. And there he is, hair looping, going, everyone deserves a second chance, and I'm going to give her a second chance.
Her hair is perfect for that. Your hair is perfect for that.
Listen, he annoys me on a multitude of levels. He's the moral authority. Left the first wife, had an affair. Left the second wife, had an affair. Had kids both times, but he's the moral compass for 20-year-olds in America. Donald, sit and spin, my friends. I don't enjoy him. No.
This is the thing, you know, you say what you want to say about him. I know you said that his father gave him his money.
It's
I know
true.
that. Well, listen, the fact of the matter is you say what you want to say, but he's a businessman.
Yeah.
He's a master of branding. There are a lot of kids who've inherited money from their parents, and you can't see anything about it except a car or a house that's defunct.
He inherited a lot of money. Wait a minute. And he's been bankrupt so many times where he didn't have to pay.
People have been bankrupt, but he's come back.
The people beneath him who he owed money to got shorted out of the money, but he got to again, try again and again. And you know what saved him the second time? After his father died, with that money, he paid off all his bankruptcy. This is not a self-made man.
He's honorable. He paid off his creditors.
No, he didn't. He didn't pay off the people he owed.
They put you on a payment plan.
Lawsuit. Get ready. This is going to be good. But,
Rosie, they put you on a payment plan.
He's sued, you know. He's going to sue me, but he'll be bankrupt by that time, so I won't have to worry. But I don't know. I just think that this man is like sort of one of those, you know, snake oil salesmen in Little House on the Prairie. You remember that episode where the guy would come in with a lot of bottles and everybody would be like, ooh, and then he'd leave and little Laura Ingalls would go, Dad, I don't think there's anything in this bottle. Well, you're right, Half-Pint. That man was full of crap. You know, that's sort of what it is, I think, you know. I love it. That's my opinion. I don't enjoy him.
He's saving the Miss USA franchise.
And that is a franchise.
Look, there are a lot of young women out there in America, maybe not you, maybe not me, that ever entered a beauty contest.
We should change the tune to There She Goes Into Rehab.
But that's not even Miss USA. That's the Miss America song.
They're both the same.
They're not the
They're very different. They're very different.
They're in bathing suits, aren't they?
No, Miss America's not in bathing suits anymore.
Miss America is different. Miss America is a scholarship, that's right, and it's for women who have brains as well as beauty, and Miss USA is basically...
I think there's some Miss USAs out there who are smart, who are trying to get out of their hometowns, who are trying to make a difference in the world, and maybe it's not necessarily the vision of Mr. Donald Trump, but there are a lot of women that this has been a ticket to someplace greater.
Can you name one former Miss USA? Can you
I haven't been fraternizing with them, and they're a lot younger than me, the contemporary ones.
Can you name one in the world?
No, I cannot. But this one in particular, when she said, you know, I'm all for second chances, but when she said, you know, I got caught up in everything, I find it hard to just listen to something like that, because when you're out, you're partying, you're doing whatever you're doing, to just be so passive about it and how you got there, I feel like you don't get caught up. Like, you make decisions along the course of your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was
well, but you forgive Britney. Wait a second, everybody forgives Britney. Why don't you forgive this girl?
We keep saying she's only 20, she's only 20, but yet every time we talk about teenagers, we say how old they are when they're 16. They know so much more at 16 than they ever have before. At 20, you know a heck of a lot.
I think they should be locked up, first of all, during that entire period. Just lock them up. Keep them in the house. Let them eat, get fat, and then they can lose it in their 20s.
That he's using her personal issues of her drug issues and underage drinking, and she's supposedly used cocaine. That's the what's in the paper. Yeah. And he's using it like the A&E show Intervention. Donald is going to give her an intervention. Here I come to save the day.
Maybe I'll get in trouble for this, but wasn't she kissing another little teenage girl? Maybe that got to Donald. Maybe he likes that. You know how they love to watch two women making out.
It wasn't a woman. It was an underage girl. It was a teen girl, right?
Yeah.
If you're 20 years old and you got a crown and you want to kiss someone, make sure they're of legal age. That's my advice.
The girl was a teenager.
Listen, the whole thing, I don't think that this is whatever. You know, he's going to be calling. They're going to be, George is going to be on the phone, Carolyn, everyone.
Doesn't work there anymore.
Yeah, she got fired. Apparently she was not up to his standards either.
Apparently not.
Remember,
Maybe she'll get a second chance after this.
Who, Carolyn?
Yeah.
I don't know that she'd take it, frankly, but we'll see. I don't.
Good to have you here. Tell us how you celebrated your New Year's Eve. What did you do?
Well, pretty much I went on various television shows and bashed Rosie O'Donnell.
There you go.
Believe it or not, that's
What exactly started that? It had to do with the Miss USA thing, is that right?
well, it did. She didn't want to have a nice young woman who had a little bit of a problem with drinking and other things to have a second chance. And she got on her show and went absolutely crazy. And I heard about it. Actually, Melania called me and said, you know, you wouldn't believe what she just said. And I attacked her. You don't attack people, do you?
I mean, I would.
Seldom.
Yeah. And then have you talking to Rosie? Did you pick up the phone? Did she call you? You were going to sue her.
I've known Rosie for a long time. You know, I've always felt to myself, I've always felt she's a degenerate. She shouldn't.
Wait a minute.
She's not. No, but I really understand. I really understand her. I've known her.
You can't just say she's a degenerate.
Oh, really? Just watch her.
You can't say that.
Did you ever watch her act?
I like her. I think she's funny and smart. Here's the point.
I heard she doesn't like you.
Well, that's a pretty long line. But see, I think she's up to something. I think she's playing around here because I think she's too smart to actually believe the things she's saying about various people. So I think she knows what she's up to. I think it's a little bit of professional.
Well, that's possible.
Yeah,
that is possible.
So, but you're going to sue her? Is that what you were saying?
No. I'm certainly, my lawyers want to, but she called me everything. You know, I'm on the cover of Forbes last month on the rich list. She said I was bankrupt, and I've never gone bankrupt, fortunately. Could happen someday, maybe, but I've never gone bankrupt.
But did at one point
she's called me a pimp.
Oh, well, now that,
which is not the nicest thing. And she really called it to me because of the fact that I own beauty pageants. I own the Miss Universe pageant. I own the Miss USA pageant. And I help somebody, and therefore I'm a pimp. So, you know, she's got some issues, but I felt I should take it on. And we can sit back, people like us, you sit back, and you take it, or you take it on, and I just felt I had an obligation.
But you wouldn't mind being a pimp. I mean, honestly, if everything else went away.
One of the things people love about you is you speak your mind, and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't. Your